Welcome back. Let's go straight to Steve Leisman with some breaking news on Bernanke. Steve.
Yeah, Melissa, an important development here. Senator Harry Reid, the Senate Democratic leader, saying he will support Ben Bernanke's reconfirmation, and he is saying that they will schedule a vote for later next week. That according to a source in Reid's office that I talked to. And Reid praising Bernanke's actions during the crisis, saying his support is not unconditional. He expects Bernanke to continue to work to improve the economy. What's important here is earlier today we believed Reid was undecided. There was a Wire report to that effect when he came out. And by the way, he issued a very lukewarm endorsement last night after meeting with Bernanke. And now it's a much stronger letter of email of support that he sent out, and he will say he will support it. And the question
Steve,
is,
I'm sorry.
does this bring other Democrats into line?
In the past 24 hours, his endorsement of Bernanke got stronger?
Yes, it did.
Miraculously in the past 24 hours?
Yes, you can imagine there was some leaning on him by political powers, Melissa.
I would imagine. From
the White House, where a lot of people, by the way, were buzzing about that lukewarm support that Reid put out last night after meeting with Bernanke, and now it's a much stronger endorsement. Reid, you know, is up for re-election in a very tough state, second most foreclosures in the nation. So it's a tough endorsement. I was just looking at our data, guys. If you are up for re-election, you're only 50% likely to endorse Bernanke, whereas the other way, it's much stronger support for those who are not up for re-election. All
right, Steve, thanks so much for that update. Sure. We do appreciate you working the phones tonight. So all of a sudden, 24 hours later, Reid is more in support of Bernanke. Surprisingly, after the market plunges 2% across the board pretty much.
Doesn't make all that lost capital today in the market come back, does it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does
might
not.
On Monday. I mean, you know, but if you believe a lot of what's happened this week from a trading perspective, I mean, it all started with Coakley's loss. And we saw it with the healthcare trade. You know, how quickly was that trade move? So, I mean, if you believe this was policy madness today, that nobody understands what's going on, and over the weekend some sanity could trickle out, I mean, the market could come back on Monday because, again, this was today about the comments on policy. It was not about China. It was not about Greece. The earnings were fantastic. Look at GE.
And when President Obama said today that he stands by Bernanke, that sort of answers the question in terms of why all of a sudden in the past 24 hours did a key senator come out in support of Bernanke as well. All right, let's go back to Peter Schiff. Peter, I heard that you were laughing when you heard that Senator Reid strengthened his endorsement in the past 24 hours. I mean, ultimately, what does this mean in your view? I mean, Bernanke...
Well, it seems like, you know, they got his mind right. But, you know, if I was a senator, and, you know, I'm running for the United States Senate right now in Connecticut, I would not vote to reconfirm Bernanke. I think he's done a terrible job as Fed chairman. In fact, he did a terrible job before we promoted him
to Fed chairman. Peter? Who's better? Who's better?
Well, I mean, a lot of people would be better, but unfortunately, we're probably going to get somebody worse, because I don't like Ben Bernanke because he was too easy. Congress doesn't like him because he wasn't easy enough. You know, when the president gave his speech yesterday and he blamed the financial crisis on greedy bankers trying to make a profit, he was wrong. The reason that greedy bankers were able to be greedy was because Ben Bernanke and Alan Greenspan were too easy. They made money too cheap, and of course you combine that with the guaranteed loans from the government, and that's why we had the financial crisis. And since we're repeating all those mistakes of the past, the next crisis is going to be even greater. I mean, there is a reason to regulate banks, because banks are taking a lot of risks with insured deposits.
You just said it. It's not rates. It's regulation, Peter. You just said it. It's not easy
both.
policy.
But let me finish this key point. There is a reason to regulate banks because of the insured deposits. But the reason banks are taking so much risk with these deposits is because the government insured them. If there was no insurance, they wouldn't be taking the risk because the depositors wouldn't let them. So once the government already poisoned the market with guaranteed bank accounts, we need more regulation to undo the effects of the regulation that already exists.
Okay, Peter, we got to get going. We should also mention that Peter is a candidate for Senate in the state of Connecticut.
And I would also be a much better Fed chairman than Ben Bernanke. Hands down.
Okay.
You know, my 7-year-old son would be
Peter.
better.
All right.
That's a little scary.
All right. Thank you, Peter. Thank you.